I'm going to talk about something today that's a fairly light subject sometimes, but it can also be very serious. Since about high school started, I've done some projects on this, and I've slowly changed my view on it and gotten more serious about it. Because it's something that after researching, I completely believe it should be done. And so without further ado, this will introduce my project. So pay attention to this video because I'm going to refer to it a lot later, but just keep what this guy says in mind. One more clip. Alright, so how do I turn this off? So this video is kind of funny, but he brings up a lot of good points. I have a very similar view to Joe Rogan on this, about pro-choice, it's your choice what you're going to do, put your body and all that. And like he said, it's been used for a long time and there's been no deaths reported from strict marijuana use, just from the drug itself. Of course you can die if you're high or something, it's not possible. But and I'll bring up some points there about the death number from other drugs and stuff. And also, like he said, you can abuse cheeseburgers. Like Olivia's project, I think it was, right? Said the unhealthiest thing you can do was inactivity. They're not banning that, are they, the government? And just like cheeseburgers that can kill you, and I'll bring up a number about that later, that can kill you if you abuse it, but they're not illegal like marijuana is. The U.S. Surgeon General issued a statement, or call to action, saying that some 300,000 deaths a year are from obesity and fast food. And the fast food should be removed from all schools. That was from ABC. Think about the number, 300,000 deaths a year from obesity. That's why I brought up using cheeseburgers, because they're kind of similar. And yet marijuana has 0 in the 10,000 years that he said they've been using it. It's probably roughly about that. So my project, I'm here to motivate your day with a policy speech. I'm trying to do both. I think the policy needs to be changed for a full legalization of marijuana for both its medical uses and just pro-choice. You can do what you want, I feel like. Marijuana's illegality, it costs the government billions of dollars a year. It gives marijuana a terrible public image, and the prohibitory laws not only fail, but they make the problem a lot worse. So my first point, it costs the government in 2 ways. Since marijuana is illegal, the government's not selling it. Every dollar that's spent on weed, the tax is lost. That could be put there by the government. And so there's a figure from John Getman, a writer for Drug Science Bulletin. He said that illegal marijuana causes the government to lose $42 billion a year from criminal justice expenses and potential tax revenue. He said that about 27% of our nation's GDP, gross domestic product, is from tax revenue. So if you multiply that into the estimated $113 billion spent on marijuana per year, that's $31 billion lost per year that could be taxed on marijuana. Not only that, but 5.5% of all arrests in America are related to marijuana. And of the $193 billion spent on the justice system, that's $11 billion more a year, which adds up to $42 billion a year that is lost. And in a time like this, when our country's kind of in economic shambles, that could help, especially getting out of debt, or helping schools, stuff like that. And so any of you who are working now, your tax money, some of it at least, goes to incarcerating people who are smoking, probably watching TV or eating. Granted, Some are arrested due to violent crimes, but I'll talk about that later. That's about the black market that arises because it's illegal. For those of you who don't work, you'll be paying those taxes. Also, marijuana is illegal. Another problem is that the prohibition doesn't work. Like Ron Paul said, prohibition for alcohol created the Al Capones. Similar to that, marijuana being illegal creates underground markets, like huge Mexican drug markets and stuff. So try and follow me on this story. It's confused, Dr. Sheffield, so I'll try to make it easy. Have y'all heard of Proposition 19 in California? It was for full legalization of marijuana.
Did now.
Okay, well that's what it was for. And the people who were against it, one of their arguments was that it won't hurt the black markets like the illicit drug cartels and everything. And in my source from Huffington Post, the Mexican military was sent by the government into California, and they found 134-ton cache of marijuana, which is estimated to be about 340 million on the street. So if you take that one cache, and they estimated how much that would be a year from the Mexican black market, they estimated it's $20 billion a year just from Mexicans' illegal marijuana market alone. That's obviously going to hurt the black markets that shouldn't be there. And the third problem is that it gives marijuana a really bad public image. No one wants to fund the research for a drug that's illegal because if they get caught, they can get arrested. And so it's harder to further our knowledge and understanding of the drug and everything like that. And it's known as a Schedule I drug. For those of you who don't know what a Schedule I drug is, it's classified as a drug that has zero medical use. I'm sure all of you have heard of medical marijuana. That in itself is ignorant, I guess. And so when comparing it to alcohol and cigarettes, alcohol has a few minor medical uses, like it can numb you a little bit. Disinfectant. Tobacco, Ms. Sheffield told me, is like a slight general anesthetic or local anesthetic. And same for marijuana. So if those are really the only two uses for those two drugs, and marijuana has all these uses, how is it a Schedule I drug with no medical use? Doesn't really make sense, because medical marijuana is used for people who are sick and need nourishment to spike their appetite, people who have just straight up eating disorders, glaucoma, chronic pain, anything like that. And about the nicotine in cigarettes, just to say what other drugs can and can't do. Colleen McBride, the Director of Cancer Prevention, Detection, and Control at Duke Medical Center, said that nicotine might be useful in treating Parkinson and Alzheimer's, but that's all they found. So this stacks up to marijuana's numerous ways to be used medically, and all these other drugs have one or two that we have tons of. Like we have tons of disinfectants, tons of anesthetics, all that. So why is it legal if all these other drugs aren't, that clearly aren't as useful? So now for some numbers on the death toll. Like I said, I'll tell you. CDC, the Center of Drug Control and Prevention, said tobacco kills 5 million people a year, annually, worldwide. And like Joe Rogan said, it's about 400,000 annually in America, but I think it's 430,000 or 480,000, one of those two. And alcohol is responsible for 32% of all traffic-related deaths. And all the drugs combined, like meth, heroin, even marijuana, cocaine, they only add up to 18%. It's almost half, and it's every other drug out there. And not only that, but alcohol is responsible for 40,000 deaths a year in the United States that aren't accidents like traffic or homicides, just killings. So the solution is to make it fully legal at the state and federal level for recreational use, medical use, everything like that. And it starts with spreading the word and electing officials who agree on those same points. This will reduce the problem because it fixes all the problems that are there, because the problems that exist only exist because marijuana is illegal. They arise because of that. And not only that, but light will be shed on the drug, and it won't be risky to study it and figure out what it's used and not used for. And there's a lot of medical uses for marijuana, like I said, and there's a lot of practical uses for hemp. It's been coined the plant of 30,000 uses because it can do so many things. like our Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. And a lot of things like that. But right now, as it stands, illegal marijuana makes the government lose money, portrays marijuana poorly, and is ineffective in the war on drugs. So a policy change at the federal and state level is required to fix this and allow free use of marijuana. I'm not saying that marijuana is perfect. It has its downsides, like joint papers and blunt wraps, if you know what those are, have been found to cause cancer. But there's ways to intake marijuana, because you could say that don't use those. And so I hope I've made an impact on you today to start advocating for legalization.